Joe Volpe, publisher of the Corriere Canadese, the only Italian language daily in all of North America, here on behalf of Go Live TV and Corriere Canadese Media Group, as usual, to make the comment of the day. And it is a follow-up on yesterday's commentary that had to do with evolving international relations as they relate to Canada. And so the comment is, of course, then about the consequences of things like the Huawei crisis, malaise on the international trade and foreign relations front. Now, heart, purpose, and courage used to be the basis of public policy. Today, the three witches, selfies, tweets, and photo ops, carry the day. It seems like only yesterday, but it was 1961. Many of you weren't born yet. A doorman at the Queen Elizabeth Hotel in downtown Montreal, used to be the hive, the center of political activity in Canada, placed a call to his good friend Alvin Hamilton, who was Minister of Agriculture in the Diefenbaker government. Italian Canadians of a certain generation do not have fond memories of Diefenbaker. But this column's not about them. It's about policy making, recognizing a need and filling the vacuum. The doorman's conversation with his friend went something like this. Alvin, I have a couple of Chinese who claim to be representatives of the government in Beijing. They've got $17 million and need to buy wheat. His friend responded, well, that's not much money, but send them to me and I'll meet with them. In Ottawa, the next day, Minister Hamilton was moved by the description of the near-starvation conditions brought about by the radical agrarian policies of Mao Zedong and the American embargoes designed to isolate communist China. Canada's wheat producers at the time, then responsible for over 10% of all Canadian exports, were sitting on reserves they could not sell. $17 million wouldn't make much of a dent, and the Americans under trigger-happy President John Kennedy wouldn't be very happy at all. But with his Chinese guests waiting in his office, Hamilton proposed to Cabinet that the sum of $17 million be considered a down payment for an extended line of credit to the Chinese. His Cabinet colleagues, fearing American reprisals, didn't agree. No consensus could be reached. Alvin Hamilton kept pressing on behalf of his farming community. Now, contrary to the normal practice in Cabinet decision-making, Prime Minister Diefenbaker called for a vote. Alvin Hamilton's plan lost 22-1. Hamilton tendered his resignation. Diefenbaker refused to accept it. His view was that the other guys lost 22-1. He is reputed to have said that the lives of hundreds of millions of Chinese and the livelihood of Canada's Western grain producers were more important than the strategies of the American Pentagon or the myopic view of 22 Canadian ministers. Hamilton sold China our wheat and extended a line of credit for further sales. Chinese never forgot. That deal gave Canada pride of place and considerations by subsequent Chinese governments. In fact, 8 years later, another Canadian Prime Minister, Pierre Trudeau, was the first Western head of government to be hosted by a Chinese counterpart, Premier Zhou Enlai. Although tough negotiators, the Chinese harbored a friendship for Canada because of the gesture of kindness and courage shown to the Chinese people in moments of extreme difficulty. That sense of friendship seemed to guide their dealings with us. They kept buying Canadian products and services even if they had other domestic and foreign alternatives. The relationship endured until 2008, when a short-sighted Canadian Prime Minister, Stephen Harper, refused to attend the opening ceremonies at China's debutante ball, the 2008 Summer Olympic Games. No matter how he gussied up his reasons, Harper did so because American President Barack Obama had asked them to join in a coalition of nations protesting human rights abuses by the Chinese. Now, once Harper agreed, Obama changed his mind. But Harper plowed on. It was a significant loss of face for China. The Chinese have not forgotten. They've become more practical, at least as it relates to Canada and its leaders. Currently, the kerfuffle regarding Huawei's Dragon Lady is feeding China's skepticism concerning Canada's ability or willingness to stand on its own 2 feet. One has to be truly naive to think that a judge, prosecutor, police force in British Columbia, acting out of great sense of moral and international duty and mysteriously possessed with the travel information of a foreign businesswoman, felt duty-bound to order the arrest of Huawei's CEO. She must have represented a terrorist in the making, I guess. The truth is that yet another American president, Trump, asked for, or demanded of, another Canadian Prime Minister, Trudeau, for help in showing muscle in his embargo placed on a nation, Iran, in another part of the world, the greater Middle East. You following all of that? In a barking contest between big dogs, Trump needed to make China cower in submission. The stage is the embargo, not another one, again against Iran, and that the proxy was Canadian obligations under international covenants. Trump's advisors wear big boy pants. Canada meekly complied. Joe Volpe for Go Live TV, Corriere Media Group, Corriere Canadese, inviting you to follow us on social media and on our own website, corriere.ca. We'll follow up with comments in Italian and in Portuguese. Until then, thank you.